a few weeks ago in Germany, they closed the Blue Mosque and other Islamic center.
The Al-Ali Mosque.
And what they find in these centers, Mein Kampf and the Book of Khomeini, Islamic regime. Yeah. So you can find the connection.
I see.
And it happens on the soil of Europe in 2024.
Du tittar på dekonstruktiv kritik. Jag är Aron Flam. Avsnittet gästas av Israels persiske talesperson Beni Sabti. Sabti besökte Stockholm för att tala om den islamiska regimen i Iran, dess krig mot Israel och försök att exportera den islamiska revolutionen till väst. Det är ett intressant samtal av flera anledningar, men den viktigaste brasklappen är denna. Beni Sabti är inte helt ärlig mot mig och sålunda inte mot dig som lyssnar eller tittar. Samtalet med Sabti spelades in fredagen den 15 november klockan 11 på förmiddagen. Jag ställde frågor till Beni Sabti om hans bakgrund i underrättelsetjänsten och vi talade om Israels attack mot Iran. Konversationen kom alltså att handla mycket om kärnvapenprogram. Dagen efter vårt samtal läcker det ut uppgifter som bekräftas av officiella amerikanska och israeliska källor att Israel i attacken mot Iran faktiskt slog ut en hemlig men aktiv iransk kärnvapenanläggning vid namn Talesperson 2. Jerusalem Post skriver att i slutet av oktober genomförde Israel en attack mot Irans militärkomplex i Parshin, vilket enligt 2 högt uppsatta israeliska tjänstemän avsevärt försvårat Irans förmåga att utveckla en kärnvapenbomb. Den utrustning som förstördes i attacken var avancerad och helt avgörande för att forma och testa plastsprängämnen som används för att omsluta uran i en kärnvapenanordning. Processen är nödvändig för att initiera en nukleär kärnreaktion. Utrustningen hade tidigare använts av Iran innan landet uppgav att de frös sitt militära kärnvapenprogram 2003. Detta indikerar att Iran trots tidigare påståenden fortfarande har resurser och ambitioner relaterade till sitt kärnvapenprogram. Som du vet hade Biden-administrationen förbjudit Israel från att slå ut kärnanläggningar eller oljefält före valet och Iran är skyldiga enligt JCPOA, alltså kärnvapenavtalet med väst, att rapportera alla sina anläggningar som inriktar sig på kärnvapen och kärnenergi. Denna hade de alltså inte rapporterat för då hade de avslöjats med att bryta mot avtalet varför de inte heller kunde erkänna att den nu inte längre existerar. Eftersom den aldrig gjorde det, officiellt. När jag intervjuade Beni Sabti erkände inte Israel att de bombat något som inte existerar eftersom det vore dumt att bomba något som inte finns. Attacken mot Iran i slutet av oktober slog alltså ut den iranska regimens luftförsvar. Den slog ut missilproduktionen för 1 till 2 år framöver och just den kärnvapenutveckling som krävs för en fungerande atombomb. Biden-administrationen kunde inte skälla på Israel eftersom de själva då skulle avslöja att de visste att Iran bröt mot avtalet. Iran kunde inte erkänna vad som hänt eftersom de då hade erkänt att de bröt mot avtalet och Beni Sabti var troligtvis förbjuden att avslöja det för mig. Väl spelat av Israel. Beni Sabti påstår sig vara inte bara den israeliske statens persiske talesperson utan också specialist på enbart underrättelsearbete från öppna källor. Om den iranska regimens ondska talar Beni Sabti sanning. Om annat förutsätter jag att du drar dina egna slutsatser. Njut. Beni Sabti, welcome to Deconstructive Criticism. So for my listeners' sake, would you like to explain how you came to be the person you are, where you're from and so on?
It's a little bit long, but I will make it short.
We have time.
Thank you for having me here and hosting me. I will really appreciate it. So I'm an Iranian born and raised in Iran. I was born in the 70s, before the revolution in Iran. And in that days, it was a secular, kind of free country, not really liberal, but they did have toleration toward the minorities or other religions, as long as you didn't go against the regime of the king, the Shah. But as we know, things went differently, and there was a unity between the extreme lefties, the communists actually, who were supported by Soviet Union in that days, and the religious establishments. This is a very strange thing, but you can see it also today in these demonstrations against Israel, that the lefties and the religious and radical figures, they can be united against Israel. And this is what we call the green and red unity. So they made the Islamic revolution happen. Actually, the ones who made the revolution and sacrificed themselves, they were the communists, the lefties. But the religious establishment, they took over and stole the revolution from them and cleaned the new regime from them. We were a part of the Jewish community, of course. My parents were working in the Iranian government. But in that days of the revolution, in that first year of revolution, about 80,000 of Jews out of 120,000 Jews that they were living in Iran before the revolution, 80,000 of them left Iran as quick as they could. They sometimes they didn't have time to sell the houses or the clinics or anything that they have, the factories, of course, because the Iranian Jews were very influenceable, they were very rich, and they were in a very good connection between the Iranian regime, the Shah regime, and also Israel, like a bridge. But most of them, they ran away, some of them to Israel, some of them to US. Very few came to Europe, especially to Britain or France. But my family, like other 40,000 Jews, chose to stay in Iran because we thought that it will be okay. So dynasties come and dynasties go, and Jews can live there. But it was not there. The depression was harder and harder from one day to another. First of all, they established IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guards. And this is, as its name is, they are not for the Iran as a country. Even the word Iran is not in their name. Imagine that there are two armies. One is for defending the borders, the regular army, and the other is just for the regime. Exactly like SS, like Gestapo. Really, Khomeini established the Islamic regime on the Nazis' theories. Even his book is kind of copied from the Hitler's book, Mein Kampf. Many paragraphs are very similar.
What's the name of Khomeini's book?
Hukumat Islami, Islamic regime.
Okay.
Very simple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
not very creative.
No.
But effective.
No, very effective. A few weeks ago in Germany, they closed the Blue Mosque and the other Islamic center.
The Al-Ali Mosque.
And what they find in these centers, Mein Kampf and the Book of Khomeini, Islamic regime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can find the connection.
I see.
And it happens on the soil of Europe in 2024.
Yeah.
This is the bad and strange thing.
But you know what happens if you mix the color red with the color green? No, it becomes the color brown.
Oh, okay.
Really, it does.
Yes.
Yes.
But unfortunately, this brown, it affects us very negatively.
Yeah.
You
you were how old when you escaped?
Yeah. When the revolution happened, I was 7 years old. My sister was born a few months after that in 1979, and we held up in Iran for 8 more years, but we couldn't do that anymore because even my parents were very loyal to the government. It didn't help them, and the IRGC soldiers, they came from time to time to my father and harassed him and accused him to be a Zionist because he worked as a counter in the Jewish hospital, which was part of the government, Iranian government, but they didn't care about it. The thing is, in generally, in in this regime, they say nice words to the Jewish community. In the television, they say, we love the Jewish community, we tolerate them, we love to have them here. But in private, they come to you, they harass you, they beat you, and the camera is not there. You cannot see, especially in the 80s. So, and actually, this is what is going on still with Iran. Two faces. In one face, they smile to the world. They want to make agreements. They want to have a good relationship. But in private, they take hostages. They take even Swedish civilians as tourists in Iran. They take them hostages. Germans, everyone. Everyone is not safe. Jewish, of course, Jewish people. So they play with our minds with these two faces. And it began in that days. So from time to time, they came to my father and they harassed him. And one day when he finished his work and came out of the office and wanted to cross the street to take the bus to home, this car of IRGC guys came and hit him. Thank God he was alive. He was not dead. Many others were not alive when something like this happened to them. So after a period of surgeries and being in house, we decided we have to run away from Iran. We were in touch with a smuggler. We have this bad regime, and we have to go to a smuggler to have maybe a better chance. So after a few months of talking to him and paying him, he smuggled us through the border of Iran, Pakistan. We went by foot a whole night, 8-9 hours to pass the border. And after that, he brought us to a big city after a few days of driving in the desert. And there they gave us a ticket and fake passports and a little bit money to fly to Israel with fake names, of course, and everything. And we took a transit flight to Germany and after that to Israel. Actually, I came to Israel in my birthday, February 7th, and we came in this day, so it's a new birthday for me.
All right. And how old were you when you came to Israel?
Exactly 15. It was exactly 15, yes.
So then you finished high school?
Yes, I was in high school in a few years, 2-3 years in Jerusalem. I learned biology and I thought that I'm going to deal with the science of life. But when I went to the army, I was in the open sources unit in the intelligence of the IDF. It's about reading newspapers of the enemies and seeing the television and listening to the radios. And there is a lot of information there, especially in 90s. All the missile tests of Iran began in that days. All the nuclear issue began in that days. And everything it was in the paper. But the world just decided not to listen to their threatening and to their propaganda even, that they want to spread the word of the revolution, the Islamic revolution, to bring it to all over the Europe or the West, and of course destroy Israel. It was the first ambition of the revolution. A few weeks after the revolution, they established the Quds Day, the Jerusalem Day. It's not a happy day. It's a day of demonstrations for freeing Jerusalem from Jews, and not Israelis, Jews. It's an anti-Semitic thing. It's not a confrontation between two countries. It's a really clash of radicals against Jews.
And it's not about the Al-Aqsa Mosque, because that is Jordanian Waqf.
Exactly.
And
they don't like, especially they don't like Sunnis, they don't like the Jordanians, the Egyptians. They don't honor them. They think that they will be the rulers of the area. So it's against Jews, but it's only against the Sunni countries. So this is only one example that how they hate Israel or Jews, and we dealt with that in that unit, open sources unit. After that, I was in university and research centers, many research centers in Israel. I fell in love with open source. I have to say that. as I said before, everything is there. We have to just to listen carefully or read carefully. When in 92, 93, Khamenei says that we have to have some power that all the world will be afraid of us, it's not even about the deterrence. It's about being afraid. And he wants to bring back the Iranian empire, but as a bad empire. And I found articles about establishing Hezbollah in Saudi Arabia, in Syria, in Egypt, in Turkey. They wanted to interfere in Turkey. And they wanted many Hezbollahs in all these countries. It was 92, 93. And now look.
Yes.
Look. There are Hezbollahs, maybe with other names. But they are trying still to do that. In Jordan, they want to bring down the kingdom. They want to bring down the system in Egypt. And they are trying to bring all these terror organization, Houthis. Who are the Houthis in Yemen? Why they have to fight? This is the Iranian influence, the Iranian propaganda.
They are Shia.
Yes, but they didn't have to be in this fight. We really don't understand their benefits. There is really no benefit in that for these Yemenis, these Houthis.
But some of the podcasts I listen to, they say that Iran is willing to fight Israel to the last Arab.
Sure. They are happy to pay by three things that are not respected, they don't matter in Iran. Life of the others, money, and time. These three things, they don't matter for Iranian regime. As long as there are some Arabs or Palestinians or whatever, that even Christians in US or some naive people in Europe, that they go against Israel, nice, very good, it's free. But they are ready to give the money, the propaganda, establishing kindergartens who promote indoctrination and bringing the theory of sacrificing and being shaheed in that path. So they grow many generations of soldiers, of robots for this revolution and to spread it everywhere. And time, it's also something that doesn't matter in Iran. It took them 45 years, and suddenly in October 7, they see the dream come true. They shouted in 79, death to Israel, and suddenly death to Israel is here. And actually, that horrible day became a very energetic day for them. They feel that the Armageddon is coming, and all the Messianic dreams.
The 12th Imam will return.
Yes. So this became a new problem. It's not about how many missiles they have and how many we have and how many soldiers. No, it's a new kind of energy in their side. So we have to neutralize it.
A messianic energy.
Yes.
So can I ask you an open source question?
Yeah, sure.
Like a month ago, I noticed online that there were a series of earthquakes in Ishtke. Am I pronouncing that right? Ishtke? North of Tehran, Ishtke?
Okay. Yes, there were some earthquakes. Okay.
And I didn't think much of it, but then TASS published a press release saying that these were just ordinary earthquakes, and they were only 4.5 on the Richter scale, so there was no reason to write about them, really. Which made me suspicious because, no one had asked, are these normal earthquakes? And then just a week ago, I saw another little thing in the newspaper. There was another 4.5 or 4.6 earthquake in Ishtke at a depth of approximately 10 kilometers. So,
okay. No, I know what you're meaning. It's not a nuclear test.
Why?
Because I know only about the open source, but Israel is a very small country and people talk, the army and the people are the same. It's not that a secret can be inside a room or in a box for a long time. I mean that if Iran had the chance to have a nuclear test, we would knew about it long before that. And Israel really, and I'm serious about this, Israel won't allow that nuclear weapon will be in Iranian hands, even not to come to nuclear test. Because this, as I said before, we are now in that Armageddon area, in the Iranian imagination.
Yes.
You don't want to bring a nuclear bomb when they are in that feelings, and when they are feeling, they feel that they are bringing their Messiah. You cannot allow that. Of course, objectively, and if you add these feelings too, it cannot happen. As you see, in all these years, the nuclear issue was very under the eyes of Israel and US and the inspectors and everything. In my eyes, the nuclear issue is the easier issue. The problem is that we missed to look in the terror issue. What happened in October 7 was well prepared for many years, even by cooperation with Iran regime, with IRGC. They had many exercises together, many maneuvers inside Iran, in Lebanon, in Gaza. They had the same methods, but we forgot to check about it, to look about it. And this terror attacks killed much more Israelis and even much more people from the Western world. Let's remember that the first attacks of Hezbollah were against the Marines in Lebanon, and of course another building of the Israelis in South Lebanon.
This was early 80s, the
yes,
barracks
82
bombing.
Maybe. And the Argentina, of course, and many other attacks. And here I hear now about
and in
their
Argentina,
attentions.
Buenos Aires,
Yes.
the embassy.
Yes, two times. And they used the Shiite community there and everything. So we were heard from the terror issue much more than the nuclear issue. It's not there. It really is not there yet, because they cannot they have many, most of the materials, but they cannot put them together. It's a new and very complicated science of metallurgy. So luckily they don't know all about it, and Russia and China don't help them with that. They also don't want a nuclear Iran. It's dangerous also for them. Remember that Iran is a neighbor to Russia. They don't want a nuclear bomb to be there, and for some reason they had wars with Iran 200 years ago, so they don't want a radical regime to attack them suddenly about some jihadic thing that they don't also know how can it happen. And China, of course, don't want Iran to be nuclear. So I think in that part we are safer. Of course, we have to watch it in the nuclear issue, but we have to first deal with the terror issue. It's the immediate and the more killing issue.
I understand, but Israel attacked Iran recently for the first time on its own soil.
Yeah.
Yes. And the Iranians will probably respond or not.
They wanted to respond. It was there were very tense days, but the thing that surprised all of us, but the Iran regime the most, is Trump.
Why? What was surprising about that?
Yeah, because they hoped, like what happened in 2020, they put all their money on Biden and he was elected, and that was for them the sign that they can do anything they want. For example, enriching uranium to 60% and 84%. It happened from that day. And many actions by Houthis and Hezbollah and other things happened in the period of Biden, because he kind of brought some kind of weakness. It's not about the missiles and it's not about the bombs that America gave to Israel, and we are thankful for their help in this war and generally. But the words also matter. They didn't say the right words to support Israel, and Iran regime didn't hear the support. Yes, they saw the bombs, they saw the technology coming from US to Israel, but they didn't hear support. they also didn't hear support from Biden administration when there were protests in Iran, massive protests. And people begged President Biden to say something, like Obama did when Mubarak fell, or when Carter did when the Iranian king fell. They said to these rulers, don't shoot your people. And that's it. They fell. And Biden didn't say that. Obama also didn't say that in 2009 when there were protests I don't know why they say it to other countries, but in Iran it's allowed to kill people. I really don't understand the American interest. Really. If someone can explain to me what is the difference between the Egyptians and the Iranians, please. So, and Trump comes with the moral support. This is sometimes more important than the missiles and than the bomb. Iran is very afraid of Trump, of his past. He assassinated Soleimani. He brought many, many hard actions and sanctions against Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas. So they had this freedom for 4 years since Biden came to the power, and now he is going. And they are so afraid of him. And this is probably the reason that stopped the reaction against Israel, because it seems that they were with the finger on the button, and they stopped. There were, even that night of elections, what was a very dangerous night, but it didn't happen. So they lost the opportunity maybe for months or two. But I think, in my opinion, in my private opinion, I think it will happen because Israel cannot stop the war, for example, against Hezbollah. We will attack some senior figures or other bases or something that in Iranian eyes, it's a provocation. So
it's a loss of face.
Yes. So they will react after maybe a big operation of Israel in South Lebanon or something about that. Until then, they will hold themselves.
Because a lot of people after the Israeli attack thought it was a bit weak. I mean, no. Even I'm a strong supporter of Israel. No. I thought you would be going after the oil fields or the nuclear facilities.
These two are not matter at all. Yeah, please.
No, please explain. Why don't they matter?
Iran already has a lack of exporting oil because of their old facilities and many internal problems. So attacking oil fields and the hangars, it doesn't change so much. You know that there is a shortage of electricity in Iran. Every day there is 6-7 hours of shortage of electricity. No electricity in the houses for 6 hours in Tehran. It's like the 84 when there was the Iran-Iraq war there. People ask themselves why we had 40 more years and it's the same, maybe worse, even worse, because the prices also are higher and many things. There is no fuel for the cars, gas for heating. Iran is a failed country. So why we attack the failed things in Iran? Let's go for the quality. Nuclear, as I said before, it's not there yet. And we know from the past, in the Syria case and Iraqi case, Israel attacked their nuclear facilities in the last minute, a few weeks before it was activated. So it's the best time because it wastes the most amount of money and the facilities, and it's the best to attack them in the last minute. So maybe Israel is waiting, and as I said before, be sure, if we have to attack it, we will attack it. And it will be very successful. So Israel, really, be sure that if Israel wants, even the regime is not there. The problem is Israel culturally doesn't do what the other side expects. For example, they think that after their attack, we will bring the regime down. And we didn't bring the regime down. So they think in their minds, oh, Israel is weak. They cannot bring, no, it's not about capability. It's about wanting to do that or keeping it for the next round or step. So it's better for them not to bring Israel to that place.
So what's the next step?
The next step is, it depends on them, because in the last attack, we attacked, actually, it was a very high quality attack. We attacked, for example, the line of production of the missiles. They cannot produce missiles for 1 year now. And long range missiles, it's not like the rockets in Hamas or Hezbollah. It's much more complicated. And the fuel and everything. And many other things that Israel attacked there. But even I'm not an expert for that. In non-professional eyes, you didn't see any explosion, of course, because it happened inside the bases, behind the walls, behind the fences. So the regular people, even as me, we ask, okay, it was very weak, nobody felt. But it's like you have a kind of something that bothers you in your body, some kind of wound. And you think, okay, I put something on that and it will be over. And it's not over. And you go to the doctor and he says, oh my God, it's this and it's that, and you have to have a surgery. This is the non-professional eye instead of professional eye. The professional eyes know what happened there. And this is the reason that the Iranian regime came out after the attack for 2-3 days and said, nothing happened. We didn't feel it at all, because they wanted to keep the face. It's okay. But they felt it a lot, but it was not out. After 3-4 days, satellite pictures came and all the world saw the damage. And now they are angry. This was the moment that they began to threat again against Israel, but Trump came and stopped them in that moment. So we have to see what happens next. The cards are in Israeli hands now.
Very interesting. May I ask you another follow-up question that has been nagging me since you brought up the connection between Nazi ideology, Adolf Hitler, and the Iranian Islamic regime?
Yeah.
Where does anti-Semitism in Iran come from?
It's a mixed thing. Of course, we had ancient anti-Semitism. It's even in the Bible, the book of Esther, and that minister who wanted to kill all the Jews because
Haman.
they are Haman. Yes, that because
I'm sure you know his name.
Yeah. Sorry. You have to pay attention to one thing that comes from that book, and all the Iranian Jews behaved like that for 2,500 years. Esther didn't say to the king who she really is, that she's Jewish, as Mordechai told her, not to say from what family. And this was the tradition in Iran, not to tell anyone if it's not necessary. Don't say that you're Jewish. And even my parents, my mother worked in the Ministry of Health in Iran with many, many Muslims. And for 6-7 years, no one knew that she's Jewish. When they knew, suddenly it was a very big surprise, and they wanted to convert her to Muslim immediately. They wanted to take her to a mosque and make her a Muslim. She brought some excuse. I have to go to house, and she didn't came back for 1 year. So they let her go and forget about it. So you see that ancient anti-Semitism and the Jewish behavior to be rescued. So it went on for many centuries, that ancient history and anti-Semitism with all the stories, just like Europe, that Jews are rich and they take all our money, and the blood issue with the children for Passover and these sad things. I don't know what it began. Maybe it began in Europe and came to Iran, or maybe something began in Iran and went to Europe. So the thing that brought the modern anti-Semitism was establishing, of course, Israel. This gave the fuel to the radical religious establishment in the 40s to go against Israel and to support the Palestinian issue, to support the terrorist organization, the first ones like Arafat and PLO and other kind of these organizations. And of course, this was another reason to hate Shah, to hate the king that has a very good relationship with Israel. And in their eyes and in their propaganda, he sells the Iranian oil or other resources to Israel for free. And this was brought up to make the Iranian people who were very naive, to make them angry, to combine between the ancient stories and the new stories. So all these are combined. Of course, the Communist Party and the support from Soviet Union also helped these anti-Semitic feelings. They are not so sympathetic with the Jews, of course.
The KGB.
So, yes, of course. They pumped it also to the Iranian society and the ideas. So when the revolution happened, it was a really a large part, a critical part. Hating Israel and Jews was there from the first day of the demonstrations of 78, not even 79. It began with the spring of 78 and the slogans of Death to Israel, Death to Begin and Sadat, because these were also the days of making peace between Israel and Egypt. Immediately, it was there in their slogans. So it's a combined and very hard thing until it lasted until internet came to Iran. And since the early years of 2000, Iranians, the regular Iranians, who hate also their regime, see the reality about the Jews and about Israel. Today, most of them are, at least they are not against the existence of Jews and Israel. Some of them love Israel. They want to visit there. They see the clips. They see the beaches in Tel Aviv. They love us. They even have a slogan since the protests of 2009. I'm not for Gaza. I'm not for Lebanon. I'm only for Iran. 2009, people shouted this in Tehran, in Iran.
Which means you're for Israel also.
Also, of course, if you are not against Israel, you are some kind of with Israel. And Israeli Foreign Ministry had a survey inside Israel, a real poll.
In Iran?
In Iran, they made I don't know how they did it, in a secret way, but it was published. 50% of the Iranians at least don't hate Israel or love Israel. And this is a very hard question to answer if you are inside Iran. But they dare to answer it 2 years ago. Imagine what is happening now, that they see all their money are wasted and gone on Hezbollah, on Hamas, and it's not even effective. Hezbollah is very shocked. Hamas is almost not there anymore. So they see, and even if they're thinking only about their money, they say, what did we pay for 45 years? This is the results. You cannot even win the war against this tiny country. So why I am paying for that? And I don't have water and electricity in my house.
What should Israel do you think, to help the Iranian people, to get rid of the mullahs?
Yeah, I think, and I was part of it just before October 7th, we try to bring the opposition to sit together, like what happened a little bit immediately after Mahsa protest, but it failed because they don't know how to talk to each other. They have very old opinions, and they have to tolerate each other. So we try to talk to them. We try to bring them to one table. Actually, I had an initiative. I brought the minister Gila Gamliel, the minister of intelligence. It's not really intelligence, but kind of PR minister for media, something like that. Because the Iranian prince was hosted in Israel in April 23 by Gila Gamliel, and I brought her to London to meet other opposition figures in September 23, and we had many plans. My picture was on the Iranian papers, I don't know. He is a very dangerous thing to the Iranian regime, and these are the most effective things. When they see that the chair is is shaking, their table is shaking, the Iranian regime is shaking, this is the moment, this is the thing. I don't know if we can, after a lot of attacks, bring down this regime or maybe weaken them, but it has to come also, at least also from inside. Iran is a very big country. You cannot change it only from outside. And it's not Saddam Hussein that you can bring it, and no one will do that even in these days. And it's very funny that Israel became the rescuer of all the world and all the region. This is not our job to rescue. Maybe.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you know,
Maybe it is.
Yeah, it seems that we will have to do that because the others don't do their part. U.S. administration, as I said before, until now, I hope there will be a change because they are the biggest brother of everyone in the whole world. And also Europe has a very critical job in that. But Israel is in the neighborhood, so we have to be involved. But it also has to come from inside. And we have so many sympathy from inside Iran when every time Israel attacked inside Iran or even Hezbollah or Hamas, they cheer and they support, but it's only morale. So they have to be organized. This is a very big problem.
So what are you doing here in Sweden?
I came to explain about the Iran regime challenges, nuclear
To me?
issue. No, to the parliament, to the foreign ministry, to some other figures, about the propaganda. This is the main problem, I think, of Europe and also in Sweden. As I said before, if the book of Khomeini, that book that is full of hatred and based on Nazi ideas, if it's here in your cities, so you have to be worried, I think, about that. And not only because of the Jews, because they hate all kind of others. They hate their women. They hate minorities. They hate Jews, and they hate West because West is successful, because they envy, but they don't know how to make a bridge. And this is the reason for hatred. So you have to control this propaganda.
But Sweden is one of the Western countries that has been pushing for a détente with Iran for the longest, I think. I mean, when I look at modern articles from Iran experts in the West, Trita Parsi is out already in 2012, 3 years earlier than most of the others. He's a Swedish guy. And he writes that we should try to negotiate with the Iranian regime and that we, need a deal on the table.
Well, in that days, I think he was in touch with the Obama administration. And these were the early days and the days that they closed the deal behind the curtains, Iran regime and Obama administration, about the JCPOA, the future. Yes. And Israel even didn't know about that. Exactly. For a few months.
Yes.
It happened in Oman. And these guys like Trita Parsi, and we know the Nayak organization, they were kind of as I said, the nice face, the diplomatic face of Iran. They were the Iranian regime lobby in Washington and in other places. So actually, Americans were deceived. And yes. They didn't pay attention to that.
Yes, but what's interesting is that he's a Swedish citizen.
Trita? Or?
Yes, Trita is a Swedish citizen.
Okay.
And I mean, there must be some support for this view because our foremost Iran expert is his brother, Ruzbe Parsi. He's at our foreign policy think tank institute sort of thing. So,
well, I don't know.
So I'm thinking you're going to have your work cut out for you.
I don't know if they want to act against these kind of opinions, but I say generally, if someone cooperates with the Iranian regime, he cannot be naive. They know the nature of these kind of regimes. You can only lie to yourself and convince yourself that, yes, I'm doing a good thing. But at the end of the day, all these kind of people know the truth. There is another one, Hossein Mousavian, who was the Iranian ambassador to Germany in the 90s when that terror attack happened Mykonos restaurant against the Kurdish minorities leaders. After that, he was a senior figure in the Iranian regime, but for some reason they suspected that he is a spy, and he fled to U.S. and now he is a lecturer in Princeton. But he makes propaganda for Iran regime. It's a very strange thing. The guy left Iran, ran away from Iran, but he is serving Iran regime. So these kind of people have to decide in which side they are. The side of the truth, or they have kind of 2 salaries or 3 salaries from both sides. I hope that if someone is Swedish, so he is loyal to Sweden, and someone is American, so being loyal to America. And it's not even about the countries. It's about being loyal to democratic values and liberal values. Being against the existence of Israel or Jews, it's not something that you can understand it if you are a liberal or democratic person. You cannot talk about a destruction of Israel if you are hosted in Western country. So the problem is theirs. I cannot explain them. I can say only that this is kind of one guy with 2-3 faces, if they behave like this.
Well, thank you so much for coming to Deconstructive Criticism. Dr. Sabti?
No, not yet.
Not yet. All right.
Thank you very much.
Tack för att du har tittat på Dekonstruktiv kritik. Avsnittet gästades av Israels persiske talesperson Benni Sabti. Du hittar inte Benni, han hittar dig. Jag är Aron Flam. Till nästa gång, ha en god tidsenhet.